Hey everyone, welcome back. So in this video, I want to walk you through the next feature I added to this vulnerability management pipeline, the Threat Escalation Engine. So the goal of this engine is pretty simple. It helps decide what actually needs attention now versus what can wait. And the first place you can see this working is in the next actions or the top 50 sections. If you scroll down here. So this section used to just be a list of top findings by severity, but now it's powered by the same logic used by the threat escalation engine. So every item you see here has already been evaluated for priority, risk score, and exploit signals. That means that this list isn't just high severity noise anymore. It's already filtered down to what actually matters. So actually matters first. So if you're an analyst or an engineer, you only have time to look at a handful of issues today. This section gives you a really strong starting point. So let me quickly walk you through what a threat escalation engine is doing at a high level. So the engine looks at every finding and decides where it actually belongs. And then asks a simple question. Does this need closer attention right now, or can it move forward through normal remediation? That decision is not based on severity alone. It also looks at things like risk score, exploit signals, and overall priority. That's important because not every critical finding represents the same level of real world risk. So a vulnerability with no exploit activity doesn't always deserve the same urgency as something that's actively exploitable. This engine is designed to make that distinction automatically. So once that decision is made, the same logic carries through the rest of the dashboard. So now I'm going to walk you through how the explanation engine shows up in each of the sections and how you actually use it. So now we have this new tab called Threat Escalation. And then this is a very focused, this view is focused on the findings that need attention sooner rather than later. So the engine looks at things like severity, exploit signals, exposure, and overall risk. And then based on that, it pulls the most concerning items towards the top. So instead of scrolling through hundreds of thousands of findings, you get a short, high impact list to start with. So the goal here is pretty simple. It helps you quickly answer the question, what should I be worried about right now in this instant? This is not replacing patching or ticketing, it's just help you focus. And then moving to the next tab, we have remediation queue. And this is basically the working list. So everything you see here has already been processed by the threat escalation engine. So instead of dumping vulnerabilities into a table, the engine adds context. So for each item, you can see what asset it's on, what the issue is, the priority, and most importantly, why it's showing up as high. So that this Y column here, is the engine explaining the decision. So it tells you what the risk signals were involved, like severity, exploit, availability, or exposure. And this makes the list a lot easier to work through because now you're not guessing what to fix first. The engine it already did that thinking for you. And then from here, teams can take these items and handle them through normal patching or remediation work. And then lastly, we have the risk drivers tab. And then honestly, this is one of the favorite parts of the whole feature. Instead of just dumping a list of individual findings, this shows you why things are being escalated in the first place. So you're not just seeing noise, you're seeing patterns. For example, you can immediately tell if an escalation is being driven by things like critical severity, known exploits, high or just overall high risk scores. And that's powerful because you're not asking what's broken. Now you're asking what's actually driving risk in this environment. And that's way much more useful question. So this part becomes especially useful once you step outside of the technical weeds, because a lot of stakeholders don't want to hear things about individual plugins or CVE IDs. They want the story, and this gives you that story. So instead of saying we have 600 critical vulnerabilities, you can say something like most of our current risk is coming from exploitable vulnerabilities concentrated on a small number of systems. So that completely changes the whole conversation. Because now you're talking about risk drivers, not just raw findings. And that's what makes it easier to prioritize, justify work, and also explain why certain issues matter more than others. So overall, the threat escalation engine isn't about adding more alerts, it's about adding clarity. So it helps reduce noise, highlight what actually matters, and make risk easier to understand for both technical terms, teams, and leadership. And this is really just the foundation. In the future, this can be extended even further with things like ticketing integrations, automation, or even SOC style workflows, which I actually plan to integrate down the line. But even in its current state, it's already helps cut through the noise and focus attention where risk actually lives. Yeah, let me know what you guys think. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.